Hey, Team FTC, Coach Enoch. I want to check in with you today to speak a little bit about the different energy systems we have. And this is quite a complex subject. I'm going to simplify things, but it should help. I've been getting some questions on this. I think this is something to check in from time to time. It should help clarify some different ways to fuel for different workouts. Just like we have different workouts to train different intensities. So we might do like a speed workout to train that faster system. We might do an easy slow run to train more of the endurance system. We also want to vary our fueling for different workouts to get what we need, and also for different goals. Like if we're training for a marathon, we're running more volume. If we're training to maybe lose weight or increase our metabolic flexibility, which is the ability to shift into more of a fat burning zone, then we need to do more workouts that are fasted or without carbohydrates. So with that kind of in mind, I want to talk you through a complex subject, but give you some ideas on some ways to start to play with this to fuel correctly and accordingly for your goals and for the workouts you're doing. So first off, if you're doing like a faster, higher intensity workout, something like the Monday or Thursday speed workouts, tempo, whatever we're doing on the track, those are days that are going to be pretty good to eat before. And then, which would be something like a banana, peanut butter, maybe some toast and peanut butter, something along those lines. However, if you are more desiring to build some more endurance and you're willing to, and you want to build more lean muscle mass rather than just pure performance, something doing like these Kion aminos before, along with some electrolytes that are 0 calorie, that's going to keep you more in a fasted state and a fat burning zone, even for the faster workouts. So that is an option even on those days. So you kind of have two different options. You can go carbohydrates, or you could do something like aminos. I don't really recommend doing those workouts completely fasted since they are higher intensity and require a little bit of fuel, but you could if you feel okay doing them. But I would recommend one of those two options, as well as some electrolytes since you wake up fasted. From there, a lot of us do like an easier run, say on like Tuesdays of 30 to 90 minutes, or on Wednesdays or Fridays, as well as long runs. A lot of our long runs are only 60 minutes, 80 minutes, 100 minutes, maybe even up to 2 hours. And if they're lower intensity, which most of the long runs we do are, we don't need to have food before. We don't have to, you may want some food, but you could try doing it with just the aminos, especially for the shorter runs, as well as some 0 calorie electrolytes, something like Ultima. I'll often add more salt. Like if I add 1/8 of a teaspoon or 1/4 of a teaspoon to this, if I'm really going to sweat a lot, then it's a little more salty, or something like Noon. So that's an option. However, if we give our body a bunch of carbohydrates, our body's going to stay in this carb burning zone. Whereas if we don't, then we start to shift to fat burning. Our body gets better at burning fat, so we're going to do that sooner in these workouts, as well as we're going to have that capacity to do that. So those are great runs to do either fasted, especially if they're less than an hour, or do it with the amino acids, which help build lean muscle mass, but not bring in that carbohydrate burning system. So this allows us to operate in different ways and to meet different goals and train our body to be more flexible. And also it means that 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week that we're active, we're not starting our day with a bunch of sugar, with carbohydrates, and then our body's going to want to keep in that cycle throughout the day. So what I do for most of my workouts, if they're not that high intensity and they're under an hour, I do aminos before, a little bit of 0 calorie electrolytes, and then I either stay fasted until lunch because my body isn't demanding carbohydrates. It's in that fat burning zone, which is very level and clear. You can do some caffeine as long as you're not adding a bunch of sugar. And then if I do want to, like I say, I do a big strength workout and I want some fuel afterwards, I'll do something like this whey protein, which is plain. It only has 2 grams of carbohydrates, which is almost nothing, 1 gram of sugar that isn't added for 30 grams of protein. I like the whey isolate, it's a little easier to digest. And then I'll add something like the acai, frozen acai packs that have no sugar as well, very low to no carbohydrates, and like an avocado, which is more fat, or some peanut butter or almond butter or something like that. Or it could be like eggs and some veggies or something along those lines. But basically low sugar, very low to no sugar and carbohydrates, protein and fat, and then my body's going to stay more in this lower fat burning zone, more level energy than sugar before, sugar during, crashing after, more sugar, and then it's just sugar, caffeine. You're riding this roller coaster of elevating blood sugar, insulin coming in, which in the short term is challenging for our energy, but long term leads to a lot of metabolic dysfunction. So that's an oversimplified version, but what I recommend is, unless you're doing really high intensity performance, is playing around with some of these options and seeing how your body adapts to it. And even if you're training for longer and harder races, you can alternate where one long run, you really focus on fueling and practicing doing a bunch of gels and your on-course electrolyte and all of this carb, but then other ones, if it's an easier or shorter week, maybe you're only running 90 minutes or 120 minutes or something like that, practicing without the carbohydrates, maybe bringing in the amino acids, which I'll link in this. Again, I make no money on any of this stuff, but these are products that I believe in and use. And then you can get like a 0-calorie electrolyte as well and make that work. So this is getting on the longer side, so I'm gonna wrap it up. If you have any questions, feel free to chat with me at practice or reach out. And yeah, let's keep training our bodies and fueling correctly.